Hello and welcome to the Rainy Night Listens podcast. I'm Haley.
And I'm Wyatt, and this is the podcast that you save for a rainy night instead of a rainy day. Alrighty, we are talking about the disappearance of Flight 19. Do you know anything about it?
I actually don't. I've heard of this, but I've never listened to anything that's talked about it or looked into it myself. So I'm very excited to hear about it.
Well, yeah, nice. I'll take it.
Cool, dude.
That's really good for me.
That's gnarly, bro.
That's gnarly. But first, it's time for that one guy.
Hagen.
Hagen.
Says.
Oh.
Ooh. Says.
S-E-S. Says.
Says. I think
Yep.
you forgot the H.
Yeah, S-E-H-S.
Yeah.
Says.
It's okay. It happens to all of us.
It happens to the best of us.
English hard.
English is hard, okay?
Says.
So what was Flight 19? I directly quoted this first part from the Wikipedia because I just liked how they worded it, and I didn't think there was a really better way for me to do it. So
That makes sense.
it says, Flight 19 was the designation of a group of 5 General Motors TBM Avenger torpedo bombers that had disappeared over the Bermuda Triangle on December 5th, 1945. All 14 naval aviators were lost, as well as 13 crew members of a Martin PBM Mariner that was launched to look for Flight 19.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
5 bombers disappeared?
5 full bombers ended up disappearing.
And
And then an additional PBM Mariner ended up. It didn't go missing. It exploded.
What the frick? Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot. So what happened? On a combat training exercise, the bombers set out. The layout of the mission was, and I put timestamps, but I realized I kind of mashed it all together. The one was to step or leg 1, leave Fort Lauderdale to perform exercise at location B, which I have a map right here. But so they were going to head from point 1 to B and then drop some bombs for the exercise. And then 2, they would turn left, fly over Grand Bahama Island. At 2, they would turn and head up to point 3. And then 3, they would turn left and fly back to mainland and return to Fort Lauderdale. That was what was supposed to happen.
Okay.
And I put the timestamps of the things that of the timestamps I could find on those 3 steps.
So it was only supposed to happen over an hour and a half?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't meant to take very long. But however, after leg 3, their compasses stopped working. Well, around the time of leg 3, their compasses stopped working. So they had to just, instead of having a precise angle, percentage angle to head back, they had to eyeball it, which...
Over open ocean.
Open ocean, yes.
Ooh.
And while they were trying to troubleshoot the problem, they ended far off course. And around 1750, or what's that, 550?
Yeah.
They were triangulated to be within 100 nautical miles of location 4. And the 5 planes and the men on board were never found. So, 2 hours later, as they were radioing in, they were up there where 4 was at. They were somewhere within that circle.
Jeez, so they had just started heading almost north then.
Yeah, they had missed. They had turned still, but they didn't have the percentage exactly right. And it was said, here, I'll continue to the next slide. Around 1927, so 7:30, 7:27.
Yeah.
The PBM Mariner as well as a second ship, but I didn't get the name of it. Left NAS Banana River, which is that 5 up there where the star's at. And around 1950, it had exploded and gone down near 6.
What the frick?
Yeah, the notes behind that was the PBM Mariner's flexible fuel lines were known to come loose during rough conditions, and the other plane that had flown out around the same time said that they did see them catch fire midair and crash into the ocean.
Holy crap.
So, yeah, that one didn't have to do with whatever happened to the other 5, but it was just crazy that while they were trying to look for the original 5, they caught fire and went down into the ocean.
That's awful.
They didn't find any survivors out of that crash either. But the flight leader, he had, when like ground control or whatever had radioed in, they kept requesting for him to change frequencies to a different radio frequency in order to like, I guess, communicate with like rescue services. But he refused to acknowledge that request, responding with, "I cannot switch frequencies. I must keep my planes intact." Like, I think he wanted to keep comms with his plane, with the other 4 planes, rather than switch to the other one, because I guess they wanted to talk to him to try to get him to lead them out, but he wanted to stay in contact with them because none of them had their navigation, like their compasses were working. They were just kind of sticking together. And
so out of the 5 planes, all of their navigations went down on every single plane?
Yeah, like it was said that they were like radioing each other asking for like locations, and they were like, "I don't know where we are." Like, that was like their response.
What the frick?
And it is believed that the flight leader, had ended up mistaking some islands that they had flown over partway into their trip for the Florida Keys.
Oh, so that's why they started flying north, is because they thought that they would have hit the mainland if...
Yeah, because they thought they turned, and he mistook them for the Florida Keys, so he thought he knew where he was and was going from there, but it was a different string of small islands, and so they just kept going far off course.
Oh, no.
And the report, like when they reported what happened, it was determined as cause unknown, because the flight leader's mother had like directly argued with the naval guys on this, saying that it's not fair that you're blaming my son for this when it was it wasn't something that...
So were they blaming the...
They were blaming it on the flight leaders, like a mix of him refusing to switch to the one signal and mistaking the islands. They were blaming the disappearances on him.
It kind of almost seems like...
And she was, telling them that's not fair at all.
Yeah, which is completely understandable.
Yeah.
Because, again, I feel like I'm still stuck on the fact that all 5 planes' compasses weren't working.
Yeah.
Like, that's weird.
Yeah. I think... well, I guess the main thing was that the flight leader and one of the other ones were the ones that were... the main ones that had talked about them saying their compasses weren't working, and I didn't hear anything from the other 3.
Oh,
So I don't know if they all had... It would make sense they all had the equipment, but it doesn't say that, 3 of them knew what was going on.
It almost seems like that should just be standard equipment to have a compass.
Yeah, exactly. So it's...
Huh.
But some of the other pilots did want to argue with him and say that they were going the wrong direction.
Oh.
And it's believed that they just kind of, like, due to military discipline, just went with what he decided.
Gotcha.
And that some of them didn't agree, but they went with him anyways because it was just that he was their flight leader.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Huh.
On the Wikipedia, it has a much more detailed, like, hour-to-hour thing. He checked in, they requested that he switch frequencies, he refused, and then later on they requested again, and then that's when he said, "I cannot switch, I must keep my planes intact." And then the last time he checked in with them was when they were, like, triangulating him to be somewhere around Area 4, But
Okay.
he was even saying, like, updating, we're going to fly this direction for this many minutes, and then then change and fly this direction for this many minutes. But
Uh-huh.
they knew that they were going to run out of fuel,
Yeah.
and it was believed that they just kind of all went down together when they ended up, like, because they never found the planes, they never found anything of the wreckage. They
Jeez.
just know that they never came back. So
That's crazy. Did they send out more search parties for him?
I believe so. Yeah, they just never ended up finding them. Anyway, I don't know. It's it's strange. Like the flight leader had, like, I think it said like 300 hours in the sky as a pilot. Like
Jeez.
he wasn't a
He was
he
a
knew what he
novice
was
by any
doing.
means.
Yeah. And the other pilots all had around like 50 to 60 hours in the sky. So it's like they all knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
It was just a matter of their navigation equipment stopped working.
So, why did they need him to change to a different frequency in order to tell him what way to go?
They wanted him to, I believe it was because they wanted him to get into contact with the rescue services. Like they wanted him directly talking to the rescue services.
Uh-huh.
So they wanted him on their radio frequency to communicate with them.
Why couldn't they have switched to his?
See, that's what
If-
I'm wondering. Is like
that's weird.
if it was such a big thing, why didn't they just bring those guys up to their frequency instead? Like,
Yeah.
another thing is that they believed he didn't want to switch frequencies because there would be a lot of like Cuban chatter going on over the frequency. Like it's
Was
not
it more of
so
like a
like
public kind of frequency
that.
then,
That
or
might be it.
Oh,
'Cause
okay.
it was like, I guess back then the radio frequencies weren't so closed. I guess. And so they didn't want it to be like over chattered with things that didn't matter.
Gotcha.
Oh yeah, see, look down there at the bottom. I think they turned. He mistook. I guess he like heavily mistook where he was at for the Florida Keys, and they ended up flying just in the wrong direction for a good long while.
Jeez.
But then by the time they had gotten their like bearings, like, okay, well, put the sun on this side and fly this direction, you will end up back over land eventually. It was,
Uh-huh.
I guess, too late in, and their fuel wouldn't.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's rough.
it is pretty rough. But we have theories. Main belief, like I said, is that they all went down together. Like I don't remember if it was like a thing, but it might have been like I think they all mutually agreed that when they go down, they all are going down at the same time together.
Jeez.
Because I mean, they're all going to run out of fuel at the same time practically, but
Yeah.
yeah. But some theories that have been brought up go as far as to say they were abducted by aliens because, like, they never came back. But the ocean's a huge place; they could have gone down
Yeah.
anywhere, or that they somehow time traveled because the Bermuda Triangle has a whole thing about time travel and wormholes.
That's true.
And I mean, the planes were never found, or that they found Atlantis.
Whoa.
Whoa. Yeah, I was like, that one's a little out there, but whoa.
Yeah. So would they have found it after they crashed?
Or maybe just the last time they contacted, they just found Atlantis and
Huh.
then never came back.
That's been known to happen.
Yeah. Or that magnetic anomalies is what mess with their compasses because it's like a whole thing with the Bermuda Triangle, magnetic anomalies, all that fun jazz. I didn't look up methane eruptions, but I don't understand what that means. But that was just like tacked on the end.
Aren't methane eruptions whenever it like comes up out of the water and it gets it displaces the air enough that it makes your plane lose all lift that it has because the air's thinner?
Oh, maybe.
Isn't that what that is?
That makes sense.
But
So
yeah,
my brain was-
if I'm remembering right, I
was
think
jumbled.
that's what it is. Is it like displaces everything and
The plane just loses all like lift.
yeah, because the air is not thick enough to hold it,
Gotcha.
I think.
I was looking it up, but it just said like when methane comes out of like trapped soil or anything, and it just erupts and creates like a fireball. But
Oh, like the swamp fireballs?
yeah, probably. But yeah, that's as far as the theories go. They're a little aggressive, but the planes were never found and the men never found. So
Oh,
who knows?
yeah, sorry. So methane eruptions can cause structural damage, cause engine failure, and it lowers the air density.
Okay, so it could mess with their lift.
Yeah.
Gotcha. But yeah, do you have any ideas on what you think happened? Do you think they just crashed, or do you think something else happened?
What year did this happen?
It was in 1945.
Because I don't know, I feel like it's just because I did the Amelia Earhart episode not that long ago. I feel like it's just giving me like those same vibes where whenever your navigation stuff goes out, there's like, especially at that point, like,
There's not a lot.
what
you
are
can
you
do.
supposed to
Yeah.
do, especially over open ocean? Like, it's not
Yeah.
like there's landmarks that you can go off of. And it's like what you had said before, like, unless they're looking at the direction of the sun, like, depending on the time of day, you aren't going to know what direction you're
Yeah,
going.
exactly.
Like, it's only going to be once it's, like, setting that you're really going to be able to get your bearings around what direction you're actually facing.
Yeah, and the problem is a lot of maps don't have a whole lot of islands that are around documented.
Yeah.
And so it's very easy to mistake where you're at if you're going based off of islands alone. Because
Yeah.
I mean, there's
Just navigating by sight in the ocean is insane.
Yeah, that's just not doable, in my opinion. I agree. I think it's just like you said, when you're over open ocean, what can you do? There's really nothing.
Yeah.
Like you look in every direction and it looks the exact same. You could turn 10 degrees and fly that way for an hour and it will look the exact same as before you started. So
Yeah.
it's just unfortunate.
Yeah. That's so sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it makes sense that they just couldn't get their bearings and then eventually ran out of fuel. But again, it's because that's kind of what I think happened with Amelia Earhart as well, is that being unable to get their bearings and then only having a limited fuel supply, there's nothing you can do
Yeah.
once you reach a certain point. And so I feel like I'm leaning more towards that being what happened to them.
Is that they just got lost overseas.
Yeah.
I agree.
It is just crazy that it was 5 whole planes that disappeared at once. But what you had said made sense about there being like the hierarchy where everyone
where
listens
the
to
lower
this
guys
person.
will,
Like, that's...
like military discipline is no joke,
Yeah.
It's sad.
Yeah. That's crazy, though. That is super sad.
It's funny because I remember just reading a book on this when I was younger, and when I was like in like elementary school, and it was talking about like the Bermuda Triangle. It could have been anything that happened. But now that
Yeah.
I've actually like read it, it's like it's sad, but it seems very probable that they just couldn't get back with what fuel they had left.
Yeah. Well, and then even for the search parties, if it's a 100-mile area that
Yeah, just a
they're
general
trying
area.
to search,
And chances are they were still flying.
and you have a plane explode on the way out, like, it's just...
One of the 2 planes sent to search most immediately ended up just crashing down into the ocean.
Yeah.
And it's not like they stopped in that 100-mile radius. There's a good chance they kept going, and they were trying to, maneuver back to where land was at. So they could be going in any direction.
Yeah. Yeah. That's... How sad.
Yeah, it's just
That's
unfortunate.
a lot of people that... That's so sad.
But yeah, those are my sources. Mostly the Wikipedia. The bottom one, not so much. But a little bit. But that is the end of my go of the Disappearance of Flight 19. What are your thoughts?
I feel like it was just a bummer. Like
It
that.
is a bummer.
I I hate. I feel like it's a lot easier to attribute really sad things or big things happening to like some other force outside of just sometimes crap happens and
Yeah.
it's beyond people's control after a certain point. Like, I feel like it's a lot scarier to think of just bad things just happen sometimes than it is to be like, well, hey, maybe an alien took them, because like
Yeah.
it still gives you almost kind of that hope a little
That they
bit,
didn't just
and
drown.
there's something to point to and blame, because I feel like people want something to like explain what happened
Yeah.
rather than, no, this was just like a freak accident that shouldn't have happened that did. And so I don't know, I feel like it's really sad.
Yeah. And another thing is that, like, it's that one movie. It just reminds me of, like, that movie. I think it's Sully, where the dude landed the plane in the Hudson River.
Oh yeah.
Where it's like, it just, like, one of the biggest things that ended up proving that what he did was the best he could do to his capabilities was that they never account for just human response.
Yeah.
Like like you think these people are gonna, like, military men, they're gonna keep their cool the entire time. They know exactly where they are over the. It's like
Yeah.
we're all just human. Like, if you don't know where you are, there's not a lot you can do, but just kind of
Yeah.
hope you can get your bearings at some point.
And hope that you aren't going to be panicking more and more and getting more and more scared, because
Yeah.
then that clouds your judgment. And
Exactly, because I feel like I'd lose my composure pretty dang quick if all I could see in every direction was water and I was in a
yeah.
plane running out of fuel.
Yeah. Which would be a valid response.
Yeah, I guarantee you they handled it way better than I could, but there's only so much you can do in that position.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I've got. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let us know your thoughts. And we will see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.